ships cannot remain where the water is too shallow, and he left. A few days later, Joshu went again to visit the monk and asked the same question. The monk answered the same way. Joshu said, "Well given, well taken, well killed, well saved," and he bowed to the monk. Mumon's comment. The raised fist was the same both times. Why is it Joshu did not admit the first and approved the second one? Where is the fault? Whoever answers this knows that Joshu's tongue has no bone, so he can use it freely. Yet perhaps Joshu is wrong, or through that monk he may have discovered his mistake. If anyone thinks that the one's insight exceeds the other's, he has no eyes. The light of the eyes is as a comet, and Zen's activity is as lightning.
Amazing! Unbelievable! Amazing! Unbelievable! Good. Amazing! Block Blast Puzzle Games! Play now!
Ten out of 10 friends say you have to go to that new place, which you have 0 time for. Fortunately, DoorDash knows all your neighborhood hotspots. Shake up your dinner routine. Order with DoorDash.
The sword that kills the man is the sword that saves the man. Tokusan went to the dining room from the meditation hall holding his bowl. Seppo was on duty cooking. When he met Tokusan, he said, "The dinner drum is not yet beaten. Where are you going with your bowl?" So Tokusan returned to his room. Seppo told Ganto about this. Ganto said, "Old Tokusan did not understand ultimate truth." Tokusan heard of this remark and asked Ganto to come to him. "I have heard," he said, "you are not approving my Zen." Ganto admitted this indirectly. Tokusan said nothing. The next day, Tokusan delivered an entirely different kind of lecture to the monks. Ganto laughed and clapped his hands, saying, "I see our old man understands ultimate truth indeed. None in China can surpass him." Mumon's comment. Speaking about ultimate truth, both Ganto and Tokusan did not even dream it. After all, they are dummies. Whoever understands the first truth should understand the ultimate truth. The last and first, are they not the same? Nansen saw the monks of the eastern and western halls fighting over a cat. He seized the cat and told the monks, "If any of you say a good word, you can save the cat." No one answered, so Nansen boldly cut the cat in 2 pieces. That evening, Joshu returned and Nansen told him about this. Joshu removed his sandals and placing them on his head, walked out. Nansen said, "If you had been there, you could have saved the cat." Mumon's comment. Why did Joshu put his sandals on his head? If anyone this question, he will
When they
understand
get to a million,
exactly
that
how
will still be
Nonsen
less than
enforced the
3%
edict.
to make it real.
If
You see
not,
the Army National
he
Guard
should
and
watch his own
Democrats
head.
and the police. If Democrats won't let the
Had
police
Joshu
arrest
been there,
aliens, then
he
arrest
would
the
have enforced
Democrats.
the edict
Either it's for
oppositely.
real, or it's all
Joshu
just a show.
snatches the sword, and Nonsen begs for his life. Tozan went to Umon. Umon asked him where he had come from. Tozan said, from Seto village. Umon asked, in what temple did you remain for the summer? Tozan replied, the temple of Hoji, south of the lake. When did you leave there? Asked Umon, wondering how long Tozan would continue with such factual answers. The 25th of August, answered Tozan. Umon said, I should give you 3 blows with a stick, but today I forgive you. The next day, Tozan bowed to Umon and asked, yesterday you forgave me 3 blows. I do not know why you thought me wrong. Umon, rebuking Tozan's spiritless responses, said, you are good for nothing. You simply wander from one monastery to another. Before Umon's words were ended, Tozan was enlightened. Umon's comment. Umon fed Tozan good Zen food. If Tozan can digest it, Umon may add another member to his family. In the evening, Tozan swam around in a sea of good and bad. But at dawn, Umon crushed his nutshell. After all, he wasn't so smart. Now I want to ask, did Tozan deserve the 3 blows? If you say yes, not only Tozan, but every one of you deserves them. If you say no, Umon is speaking a lie. If you answer this question clearly, you can eat the same food as Tozan. The lioness teaches her cubs roughly. The cubs jump and she knocks them down. When Umon saw Tozan, his first arrow was light. His second arrow shot deep. Umon asked, the world is such a wide world. Why do you answer a bell and don ceremonial robes? Umon's comment. When one studies Zen, one need not follow sound or color or form. Even though some have attained insight when hearing a voice, seeing a color or a form, this is a very common way. It is not true Zen. The real Zen student controls sound, color, form, and actualizes the truth in his everyday life. Sound comes to the ear. The ear goes to sound. When you blot out sound and sense, what do you understand? While listening with ears, one never can understand. To understand intimately, one should see sound. When you understand, you belong to the family. When you do not understand, you are a stranger. Those who do not understand belong to the family. And when they understand, they are strangers. A monk asked Tozan when he was weighing some flax, what is Buddha? Tozan said, this flax weighs 3 pounds. Umon's comment. Old Tozan Zen is like a clam. The minute the shell opens, you see the whole inside. However, I want to ask you, do you see the real Tozan? 3 pounds of flax in front of your nose, close enough, and mind is still closer. Whoever talks about affirmation and negation lives in the right and wrong region. Joshu asked Nonsen, what is the path? Nansen said, "Everyday life is the path." Joshu asked, "Can it be studied?" Nansen said, "If you try to study, you will be far away from it." Joshu asked, "If I do not study, how can I know it is the path?" Nansen said, "The path does not belong to the perception world. Neither does it belong to the non-perception world. Cognition is a delusion, and non-cognition is senseless. If you want to reach the true path beyond doubt, place yourself in the same freedom as sky. You name it neither good nor not good." At these words, Joshu was enlightened. Mumon's comment: Nansen could melt Joshu's frozen doubts at once when Joshu asked his questions. I doubt, though, if Joshu reached the point that Nansen did. He needed 30 more years of study. In spring, hundreds of flowers. In autumn, a harvest moon. In summer, a refreshing breeze. In winter, snow will accompany you. If useless things do not hang in your mind, any season is a good season for you. When he became emancipated, the sixth patriarch received from the fifth patriarch the bowl and robe given from the Buddha to his successors, generation after generation. A monk named Imyo, out of envy, pursued the patriarch to take this great treasure away from him. The sixth patriarch placed the bowl and robe on a stone in the road and told Imyo, "These objects just symbolize the faith. There's no use fighting over them. If you desire to take them now."
Barack Obama is the
When
liar,
Imyo
fraud,
went to move the bowl and robe, they were as
information,
heavy as mountains.
all
He could not
projection, all
budge
lies,
them.
a faggot all the time.
Trembling for
The CIA
shame, he
publicly
said,
created 16
"I
trillion
came wanting to teach
If
you,
Comey,
not the
be sure
material
that's a
treasures.
faggot.
Please teach me." The sixth
Obama.
patriarch said, "When you do not think good, and when you do not think not good, what is your true self?" At these words, Imyo was illumined. Perspiration
He's
broke
a
out all
faggot.
over his body. He cried and bowed, saying, "You have given me the secret words and meanings."
Access has to verify I'm a human.
The sixth
Can't call
patriarch
Obama a
replied,
faggot.
"What I have told you is no secret at all. When you realize your own true self, the secret belongs to you." Imyo said, "I was under the fifth patriarch many years, but could not realize my true self until now. Through your teaching, I find the source. A person drinks water and knows himself whether it is cold or warm. May I call you my teacher?" The sixth patriarch replied, "We studied together under the
Barack
fifth
Obama is
patriarch,
the liar, fraud, and
Call him
misinformation
your
which he
teacher.
claims others are.
but just
All
treasure what you have
projection,
attained."
all lies, a faggot all the time.
Mumon's
CIA
comment:
publicly created 16 trillion.
The sixth patriarch certainly was kind in such an emergency.
Faggot Obama.
It was as if he removed the skin and seeds from the fruit, and then, opening the pupil's mouth, let him eat.
He is a faggot.
You
To
cannot
call him
describe
more.
it. You cannot picture it. You cannot admire it. You cannot sense it. It is your true self. It has nowhere to hide. When the world is destroyed, it will not be destroyed. A monk asked Fuketsu Without speaking, without silence, how can you express the truth? Fuketsu observed, I always remember springtime in southern China. The birds sing among innumerable kinds of fragrant flowers. Mumon's comment. Fuketsu used to have lightning zen. Whenever he had the opportunity, he flashed it. But this time he failed to do so and only borrowed from an old Chinese poem. Never mind Fuketsu zen. If you want to express the truth, throw out your words, throw out your silence, and tell me about your own zen. Without revealing his own penetration, he offered another's words, not his to give. Had he chattered on and on, even his listeners would have been embarrassed. In a dream, Kyozan went to Maitreya's Pure Land. He recognized himself seated in the third seat in the abode of Maitreya. Someone announced, "Today the one who sits in the third seat will preach." Kyozan arose and hitting the gavel said, "The truth of Mahayana teaching is transcendent, above words and thought. Do you understand?" Mumon's comment. I want to ask you monks, did he preach or did he not? When he opens his mouth, he is lost. If he does not open it, if he does not seal it, he is 108,000 miles from truth. In the light of day, yet in a dream, he talks of a dream. A monster among monsters. He intended to deceive the whole crowd. Hogen of Seiryo Monastery was about to lecture before dinner when he noticed that the bamboo screen lowered for meditation had not been rolled up. He pointed to it. 2 monks arose from the audience and rolled it up. Hogen, observing the physical moment, said, "The state of the first monk is good, not that of the other." Mumon's comment. I want to ask you, which of those 2 monks gained and which lost? If any of you has one eye, he will see the failure on the teacher's part. However, I'm not discussing gain and loss. When the screen is rolled up, the great sky opens. Yet the sky is not attuned to Zen. It is best to forget the great sky and to retire from every wind. A monk asked Nansen, "Is there a teaching no master ever preached before?" Nansen said, "Yes, there is." "What is it?" asked the monk. Nansen replied, "It is not mind, it is not Buddha, it is not things." Mumon's comment. Old Nansen gave away his treasure words. He must have been greatly upset. Nansen was too kind and lost his treasure. Truly, words have no power. Even though the mountain becomes the sea, words cannot open another's mind. Tokusan was studying Zen under Ryutan. One night he came to Ryutan and asked many questions. The teacher said, "The night is getting old. Why don't you retire?" So Tokusan bowed and opened the screen to go out, observing, "It is very dark outside." Ryutan offered Tokusan a lighted candle to find his way. Just as Tokusan received it, Ryutan blew it out. At that moment, the mind of Tokusan was opened. "What have you attained?" asked Ryutan. "From now on," said Tokusan, "I will not doubt the teacher's words." The next day, Ryutan told the monks at his lecture, "I see one monk among you. His teeth are like the sword tree. His mouth is like the blood bowl. If you hit him hard with a big stick, he will not even so much as look back at you. Someday he will mount the highest peak and carry my teaching there." On that day, in front of the lecture hall, Tokusan burned to ashes his commentaries on the sutras. He said, however abstruse the teachings are, in comparison with this enlightenment, they are like a single hair to the great sky. However profound the complicated knowledge of the world, compared to this enlightenment, it is like one drop of water to the great ocean. Then he left that monastery. Mumon's comment. When Tokusan was in his own country, he was not satisfied with Zen, although he had heard about it. He thought, those southern monks say they can teach Dharma outside of the sutras. They are all wrong. I must teach them. So he traveled south. He happened to stop near Ryutan's monastery for refreshments. An old woman who was there asked him, what are you carrying so heavily? Tokusan replied, this is a commentary I have made on the Diamond Sutra after many years of work. The old woman said, I read that sutra which says, the past mind cannot be held, the present mind cannot be held, the future mind cannot be held. You wish some tea and refreshments? Which mind do you propose to use for them? Tokusan was as though dumb. Finally he asked the woman, do you know of any good teacher around here? The old woman referred him to Ryutan, not more than 5 miles away. So he went to Ryutan in all humility, quite different from when he had started his journey. Ryutan in turn was so kind he forgot his own dignity. It was like pouring muddy water over a drunken man to sober him. After all, it was an unnecessary comedy. 100 hearings cannot surpass one seeing. But after you see the teacher, that one glance cannot surpass 100 hearings. His nose was very high, but he was blind after all.
This helps me pay for my bills. Sign up directly on the app. Choose your own hours. Get paid to deliver on your time. There are opportunities in over 7,000 cities. Keep 100% of your tips. Download the DoorDash driver app and get started today.
Two monks were arguing about a flag. One said, the flag is moving. The other said, the wind is moving. The sixth patriarch happened to be passing by. He told them, not the wind, not the flag. Mind is moving. Mumon's comment. The sixth patriarch said, the wind is not moving, the flag is not moving, mind is moving. What did he mean? If you understand this intimately, you will see the two monks there trying to buy iron and gaining gold. The sixth patriarch could not bear to see those two dull heads, so he made such a bargain. Wind, flag, mind moves. Same understanding. When the mouth opens, all are wrong. Daibai asked Baso, what is Buddha? Baso said, this mind is Buddha. Mumon's comment, if anyone fully understands this, he is wearing Buddha's clothing. He is eating Buddha's food. He is speaking Buddha's words. He is behaving as Buddha. He is Buddha. This anecdote, however, has given many a pupil the sickness of formality. If one truly understands, he will wash out his mouth for 3 days after saying the word Buddha, and he will close his ears and flee after hearing the mind is Buddha. Under blue sky in bright sunlight, one need not search around. Asking what Buddha is like hiding loot in one's pockets and declaring oneself innocent. A traveling monk asked an old woman the road to Taizan, a popular temple supposed to give wisdom to the one who worships there. The old woman said, "Go straight ahead." When the monk proceeded a few steps, she said to herself, "He also is a common churchgoer." Someone told this incident to Joshu, who said, "Wait until I investigate." The next day he went and asked the same question, and the old woman gave the same answer. Joshu remarked, "I have investigated that old woman." Mumon's comment. The old woman understood how war is planned, but she did not know how spies sneak in behind her tent. Old Joshu played the spy's work and turned the tables on her, but he was not an able general. Both had their faults. Now I want to ask you, what was the point of Joshu's investigating the old woman? When the question is common, the answer is also common. When the question is sand in a bowl of boiled rice, the answer is a stick in the soft mud. A philosopher asked Buddha, "Without words, without the wordless, will you tell me truth?" The Buddha kept silence. The philosopher bowed and thanked the Buddha, saying, "I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path." After the philosopher had gone, Ananda asked the Buddha what he had attained. The Buddha replied, "A good horse runs even at the shadow of the whip." Mumon's comment. Ananda was the disciple of the Buddha. Even so, his opinion did not surpass that of outsiders. I want to ask you monks, how much difference is there between disciples and outsiders? To tread the sharp edge of a sword, to run on smooth frozen ice, one needs no footsteps to follow. Walk over the cliff with hands free. A monk asked Baso, "What is Buddha?" Baso said, "This mind is not Buddha." Mumon's comment, "If anyone understands this, he is a graduate of Zen." If you meet a fencing master on the road, you may give him your sword. If you meet a poet, you may offer him your poem. When you meet others, say only a part of what you intend. Never give the whole thing at once. Nansen said, "Mind is not Buddha. Learning is not the path." Mumon's comment. Nansen was getting old and forgot to be ashamed. He spoke out with bad breath and exposed the scandal of his own home. However, there are few who appreciate his kindness. When the sky is clear, the sun appears. When the earth is parched, rain will fall. He opened his heart fully and spoke out, but it was useless to talk to pigs and fish. Seijo, the Chinese girl, observed Goso. Two souls, one always sick at home and the other in the city, a married woman with 2 children. Which was the true soul? Mumon's comment. When one understands this, he will know it is possible to come out from one shell and enter another, as if one were stopping at a transient lodging house. But if he cannot understand, when his time comes and his 4 elements separate, he will be just like a crab dipped in boiling water, struggling with many hands and legs. In such a predicament he may say, "Mumon did not tell me where to go," but it will be too late then. The moon above the clouds is the same moon. The mountains and rivers below are all different. Each is happy in its unity and variety. This is one, this is two. Goso said, "When you meet a Zen master on the road, you cannot talk to him, You cannot face him with silence. What are you going to do? Mumon's comment. In such a case, if you can answer him intimately, your realization will be beautiful. But if you cannot, you should look about without seeing anything. Meeting a Zen master on the road, face him neither with words nor silence. Give him an uppercut, and you will be called one who understands Zen. Gozo said, when a buffalo goes out of his enclosure to the edge of the abyss, his horns and his head and his hoofs all pass through. But why can't the tail also pass? Mumon's comment. If anyone can open one eye at this point and say a word of Zen, he is qualified to repay the 4 gratifications. And not only that, he can save all sentient beings under him. But if he cannot say such a word of true Zen, he should turn back his tail.
Excellent. Good. Great. Excellent. Amazing. Great. Unbelievable. Good. Great. Excellent. Amazing. Great. Excellent. Unbelievable.
10 out of 10 friends say you have to go to that wing place, and that pizza shop, and that noodle spot, which you have time for 0 out of 10 nights. Fortunately, DoorDash knows all your neighborhood hotspots, so you can always get the best of what's around. We wish you the best of luck with that. Shake up your dinner routine. Order with DoorDash.
If the buffalo runs, he will fall into the trench. If he returns, he will be butchered. That little tail is a very strange thing. A monk asked Joshu why Bodhidharma came to China. Joshu said, an oak tree in the garden. Mumon's comment. If one sees Joshu's answer clearly, there is no Shakyamuni Buddha before him, and no future Buddha after him. Words cannot describe everything. The heart's message cannot be delivered in words. If one receives words literally, he will be lost. If he tries to explain with words, he will not attain enlightenment in this life. Hyakujo wished to send a monk to open a new monastery. He told his pupils that whoever answered a question most ably would be appointed. Placing a water vase on the ground, he asked, "Who can say what this is without calling its name?" The chief monk said, "No one can call it a wooden shoe." Isan, the cooking monk, tipped over the vase with his foot and went out. Hyakujo smiled and said, "The chief monk loses," and Isan became the master of the new monastery. Mumon's comment. Isan was brave enough, but he could not escape Hyakujo's trick. After all, he gave up a light job and took a heavy one. Why can't you see he took off his comfortable hat and placed himself in iron stocks? Giving up cooking utensils, defeating the chatterbox. Though his teacher sets a barrier for him, his feet will tip over everything, even the Buddha. Bodhidharma sits facing the wall. His future successor stands in the snow and presents his severed arm to Bodhidharma. He cries, "My mind is not pacified. Master, pacify my mind." Bodhidharma says, "If you bring me that mind, I will pacify it for you." The successor says, "When I search my mind, I cannot hold it." Bodhidharma says, "Then your mind is pacified already." Mumon's comment: that broken-toothed old Hindu, Bodhidharma, came thousands of miles over the sea from India to China as if he had something wonderful. He's like raising waves without wind. After he remained years in China, he had only one disciple, and that one lost his arm and was deformed. Alas, ever since he has had brainless disciples. Why did Bodhidharma come to China? For years, monks have discussed this. All the troubles that have followed since came from that teacher and disciple. In the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, Manjushri went to the assemblage of the Buddhas. When he arrived there, the conference was over, and each Buddha had returned to his own Buddha land. Only one girl was yet unmoved in deep meditation. Manjushri asked Buddha Shakyamuni how it was possible for this girl to reach this state, one which even he could not attain. "Bring her out from samadhi and ask her yourself," the Buddha. Manjushri walked around the girl 3 times and snapped his fingers. She still remained in meditation. So by his miracle power, he transported her to a high heaven and tried his best to call her, but in vain. Buddha Shakyamuni said, even 100,000 Manjushris could not disturb her. But below this place, past 1,200 million countries, is a bodhisattva, Momyo, seed of delusion. If he comes here, she will awaken. No sooner had the Buddha spoken than that bodhisattva sprang up from the earth and bowed and paid homage to the Buddha. Buddha directed him to arouse the girl. The bodhisattva went in front of the girl and snapped his fingers, and in that instant, the girl came out of her deep meditation. Mumon's comment: Old Shakyamuni set a very poor stage. I want to ask you, monks, if Manjushri, who is supposed to have been the teacher of 7 Buddhas, could not bring this girl out of meditation, how then could a bodhisattva who was a mere beginner? If you understand this intimately, you yourself can enter the great meditation while you are living in the world of delusion. One could not awaken her, the other could. Neither are good actors. One wears the mask of God, one a devil's mask. Had both failed, the drama still would be a comedy. Shuzan held out his short staff and said, if you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. Now what do you wish to call this? Mumon's comment: if you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. It cannot be expressed with words, and it cannot be expressed without words. Now say quickly what it is. Holding out the short staff, he gave an order of life or death. Positive and negative interwoven. Even Buddhas and patriarchs cannot escape this attack. Basho said to his disciple, when you have a staff, I will give it to you. If you have no staff, I will take it away from you. Mumon's comment: when there is no bridge over the creek, the staff will help me. When I return home on a moonless night, the staff will accompany me. But if you call this a staff, you will enter hell like an arrow. With this staff in my hand, I can measure the depths and shallows of the world. The staff supports the heavens and makes firm the earth. Everywhere it goes, the true teaching will be spread. Hoen said, "The past and future Buddhas both are his servants. Who is he?" Mumon's comment, "If you realize clearly who he is, it is as if you met your own father on a busy street. There's no need to ask anyone whether or not your recognition is true. Do not fight with another's bow and arrow. Do not ride another's horse. Do not discuss another's faults. Do not interfere with another's work." Sekiso asked, "How can you proceed on from the top of a 100-foot pole?" Another Zen teacher said, "One who sits on the top of a 100-foot pole has attained a certain height, but still is not handling Zen freely. He should proceed on from there and appear with his whole body in the 10 parts of the world." Mumon's comment, "One can continue his steps or turn his body freely about on the top of the pole. In either case, he should be respected. I want to ask you monks, however, how will you proceed from the top of that pole? Look out."
To solve it, you want to get every single color on every single side. Now this may sound incredibly simple, but it's actually extremely difficult. So, do you think you could solve it?
Domino's Best Deal Ever is back because we know you love to get the most out of your pizza by getting the most on your pizza. Get any hand-tossed pan, thin crust, or New York-style pizza with any toppings for just $9.99 online. Get extra without paying extra for $9.99 at Domino's.
The man who lacks the third eye of insight will cling to the measure of the 100 feet. Such a man will jump from there and kill himself, like a blind man misleading other blind men. Tosotsu built 3 barriers and made the monks pass through them. The first barrier is studying Zen. In studying Zen, the aim is to see one's own true nature. Now, where is your true nature? Secondly, when one realizes his own true nature, he will be free from birth and death. Now, when you shut the light from your eyes and become a corpse, how can you free yourself? Thirdly, if you free yourself from birth and death, you should know where you are. Now your body separates into the 4 elements. Where are you? Mumon's comment, "Whoever can pass these 3 barriers will be a master wherever he stands. Whatever happens about him, he will turn into Zen. Otherwise, he will be living on poor food, and not even enough of that to satisfy himself. An instant realization sees endless time. Endless time is as one moment. When one comprehends the endless moment, he realizes the person who is seeing it." A Zen pupil asked Kenbo, "All Buddhas of the 10 parts of the universe enter the one road of nirvana. Where does that road begin?" Kenbo, raising his walking stick and drawing the figure 1 in the air, said, "Here it is." This pupil went to Umon and asked the same question. Umon, who happened to have a fan in his hand, said, "This fan will reach to the 33rd heaven and hit the nose of the presiding deity there. It is like the dragon carp of the eastern sea, tipping over the rain cloud with his tail." Mumon's comment, "One teacher enters the deep sea and scratches the earth and raises dust. The other goes to the mountain and raises waves that almost touch heaven. One holds, the other gives out. Each support the profound teaching with a single hand. Kembo and Umon are like two riders, neither of whom can surpass the other. It is very difficult to find the perfect man. Frankly, neither of them know where the road starts. Before the first step is taken, the goal is reached. Before the tongue is moved, the speech is finished. More than brilliant intuition is needed to find the origin of the right road. Amban, a layman Zen student, said, Mumon has just published 48 koans and called the book Gateless Gate. He criticizes the old patriarch's words and actions. I think he is very mischievous. He is like an old donut seller trying to catch a passerby to force his donuts down his mouth. The customer can neither swallow nor spit out the donuts, and this causes suffering. Mumon has annoyed everyone enough, so I think I shall add one more as a bargain. I wonder if he himself can eat this bargain. If he can and digest it well, it will be fine. But if not, we will have to put it back into the frying pan with his 48 also and cook them again. Mumon, you eat first before someone else does. Buddha, according to a sutra, once said, Stop, stop. Do not speak. The ultimate truth is not even to think. Amban's comment. Where did that so-called teaching come from? How is it that one could not even think it? Suppose someone spoke about it, then what became of it? Buddha himself was a great chatterbox, and in this sutra spoke contrarily. Because of this, persons like Mumon appear afterwards in China and make useless donuts, annoying people. What shall we do after all? I will show you. Then Amban put his palms together, folded his hands, and said, Stop, stop, do not speak. The ultimate truth is not even to think. And now I will make a little circle on the sutra with my finger, and add that 5,000 other sutras and Vimalakirti's Gateless Gate are all here. If anyone tells you fire is light, pay no attention. When two thieves meet, they need no introduction. They recognize each other without question. Nan-in, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. Nan-in served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full, then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. It is over full, no more will go in. Like this cup, Nan-in said, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? Gudo was the emperor's teacher of his time. Nevertheless, he used to travel alone as a wandering mendicant. Once when he was on his way to Edo, the cultural and political center of the shogunate, he approached a little village named Takenaka. It was evening and a heavy rain was falling. Gudo was thoroughly wet. His straw sandals were in pieces. At a farmhouse near the village, he noticed 4 or 5 pairs of sandals in the window and decided to buy some dry ones.
To the competition, you need to optimize your supply chain of key deliverables, like noodles. That's why you need EasyCater, a mission-critical all-in-one tech platform for ordering food for work.
Get started at EasyCater.
Some dry ones. The woman who offered him the sandals, seeing how wet he was, invited him to remain for the night in her home. Gudo accepted, thanking her. He entered and recited a sutra before the family shrine. He then was introduced to the woman's mother and to her children. Observing that the entire family was depressed, Gudo asked what was wrong. My husband is a gambler and a drunkard, the housewife told him. When he happens to win, he drinks and becomes abusive. When he loses, he borrows money from others. Sometimes when he becomes thoroughly drunk, he does not come home at all. What can I do? I will help him, said Gudo. Here is some money. Get me a gallon of fine wine and something good to eat. Then you may retire. I will meditate before the shrine. When the man of the house returned about midnight, quite drunk, he bellowed, Hey, wife, I'm home. Have you something for me to eat? I have something for you, said Gudo. I happened to be caught in the rain, and your wife kindly asked me to remain here for the night. In return, I have bought some wine and fish, so you might as well have them. The man was delighted. He drank the wine at once and laid himself down on the floor. Gudo sat in meditation beside him. In the morning, when the husband awoke, he had forgotten about the previous night. Who are you? Where do you come from? He asked Gudo, who still was meditating. I am Gudo of Kyoto, and I am going on to Edo, replied the Zen master. The man was utterly ashamed. He apologized profusely to the teacher of his emperor. Gudo smiled. Everything in this life is impermanent, he explained. Life is very brief. If you keep on gambling and drinking, you will have no time left to accomplish anything else, and you'll cause your family to suffer too. The perception of the husband awoke as if from a dream. You are right, he declared. How can I ever repay you for this wonderful teaching? Let me see you off and carry your things a little way. If you wish, assented Gudo. The two started out. After they had gone 3 miles, Gudo told him to return. Just another 5 miles, he begged Gudo. They continue on. You may return now, suggested Gudo. Another 10 miles, the man replied. Return now, said Gudo, when the 10 miles had been passed. I'm going to follow you all the rest of my life, declared the man. Modern Zen teachers in Japan spring from the lineage of a famous master who was the successor of Gudo. His name was Munan, the man who never turned back. The Zen master Hakuin was praised by his neighbors as one living a pure life. A beautiful Japanese girl whose parents owned a food store lived near him. Suddenly, without any warning, her parents discovered she was a child. This made her parents angry. She would not confess who the man was, but after much harassment, at last named Hakuin. In great anger, the parents went to the master. Is that so? Was all he would say. After the child was born, it was brought to Hakuin. By this time he had lost his reputation, which did not trouble him. He took very good care of the child. He obtained milk from his neighbors and everything else the little one needed. A year later, the girl mother could stand it no longer. She told her parents the truth, that the real father of the child was a young man who worked in the fish market. The mother and father of the girl at once went to Hakuin to ask his forgiveness, to apologize at length, and to get the child back again. Hakuin was willing. In yielding the child, all he said was, "Is that so?" The Master Bankei's talks were attended not only by Zen students, but by persons of all ranks and sects. He never quoted sutras, nor indulged in scholastic dissertations. Instead, his words were spoken directly from his heart to the hearts of his listeners. His large audiences angered a priest of the Nichiren sect, because the adherents had left to hear about Zen. The self-centered Nichiren priest came to the temple, determined to debate with Bankei. "A Zen teacher," he called out, "wait a minute. Whoever respects you will obey what you say, but a man like myself does not respect you. Can you make me obey you?" "Come up beside me and I will show you," said Bankei. Proudly, the priest pushed his way through the crowd to the teacher. Bankei smiled. "Come over to my left side." The priest obeyed. No, said Bankei. We may talk better if you were on the right side. Step over here. The priest proudly stepped over to the right. You see, observed Bankei, you are obeying me, and I think you are a very gentle person. Now sit down and listen. 20 monks and one nun who was named Ishun were practicing meditation with a certain Zen master. Ishun was very pretty, even though her head was shaved and her dress plain. Several monks secretly fell in love with her. One of them wrote her a love letter, insisting upon a private meeting. Ishun did not reply. The following day the master gave a lecture to the group, and when it was over, Ishun arose. Addressing the one who had written her, she said, "If you really love me so much, come and embrace me now." There was an old woman in China who had supported a monk for over 20 years. She had built a little hut for him and fed him while he was meditating. Finally, she wondered just what progress he had made in all this time. To find out, she obtained the help of a girl rich in desire. "Go and embrace him," she told her, and then asked him suddenly, "What now?" The girl called upon the monk, and without much ado caressed him, asking him what he was going to do about it. "An old tree grows on a cold rock in winter," replied the monk somewhat poetically. "Nowhere is there any warmth." The girl returned and related what he had said. "To think I fed that fellow for 20 years, exclaimed the old woman in anger. "He showed no consideration for your need, no disposition to explain your condition. He need not have responded to passion, but at least he should have evidenced some compassion." She at once went to the hut of the monk and burned it down. In the early days of the Meiji era, there lived a well-known wrestler called Onami, Great Waves. Onami was immensely strong and knew the art of wrestling. In his private bouts, he defeated even his teacher, but in public he was so bashful that his own pupils threw him. Onami felt he should go to a Zen master for help. Hakuju, a wandering teacher, was stopping in a little temple nearby, so Onami went to see him and told him of his great trouble. "Great Waves is your name," the teacher advised. "So stay in this temple tonight. Imagine that you are those billows. You are no longer a wrestler who is afraid. You are those huge waves sweeping everything before them, swallowing all in their path. Do this, and you will be the greatest wrestler in the land." The teacher retired. Onami sat in meditation, trying to imagine himself as waves. He thought of many different things. Then gradually he turned more and more to the feeling of the waves. As the night advanced, the waves became larger and larger. They swept away the flowers in their vases. Even the Buddha in the shrine was inundated. Before dawn, the temple was nothing but the ebb and flow of an immense sea. In the morning, the teacher found Onami meditating, a faint smile on his face. He patted the wrestler's shoulder. "Now nothing can disturb you," he said. "You are those waves. You will sweep everything before you." The same day, Onami entered the wrestling contests and won. After that, no one in Japan was able to defeat him. Ryokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut, only to discover there was nothing in it to steal. Ryokan returned and caught him. "You may have come a long way to visit me," he told the prowler, "and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift." The thief was bewildered. He took the clothes and slunk away. Ryokan sat naked watching the moon. "Poor fellow," he mused. "I wish I could give him this beautiful moon." Zen master Hoshin lived in China many years. Then he returned to the northeastern part of Japan where he taught his disciples. When he was getting very old, he told them a story he had heard in China. This is the story. One year, on the 25th of December, Tokufu, who was very old, said to his disciples, "I'm not going to be alive next year, so you fellows should treat me well this year."
Block Blast Puzzle Games. Play now.
Here. The pupils thought he was joking, but since he was a great-hearted teacher, each of them in turn treated him to a feast on succeeding days of the departing year. On the eve of the new year, Tokufu concluded, "You have been good to me. I shall leave you tomorrow afternoon when the snow has stopped." The disciples laughed, thinking he was aging and talking nonsense since the night was clear and without snow. But at midnight, snow began to fall, and the next day they did not find their teacher about. They went to the meditation hall. There he had passed on. Hoshin, who related this story, told his disciples, "It is not necessary for a Zen master to predict his passing, but if he really wishes to do so, he can." "Can you?" someone asked. "Yes," answered Hoshin. "I will show you what I can do 7 days from now." None of the disciples believed him, and most of them had even forgotten the conversation when Hoshin called them together. "7 days ago," he remarked, "I said I was going to leave you. It is customary to write a farewell poem, but I am neither a poet nor calligrapher. Let one of you inscribe my last words." His followers thought he was joking, but one of them started to write. "Are you ready?" Hoshin asked. "Yes, sir," replied the writer. Then Hoshin dictated, "I came from brilliancy and return to brilliancy. What is this?" The poem was one line short of the customary 4, so the disciple said, "Master, we are one line short." Hoshin, with the roar of a conquering lion, shouted, "Ka!" and was gone. The exquisite Shonkei, whose other name was Suzu, was compelled to marry against her wishes when she was quite young. Later, after this marriage had ended, she attended a university where she studied philosophy. To see Shonkei was to fall in love with her. Moreover, wherever she went, she herself fell in love with others. Love was with her at the university, and afterwards, when philosophy did not satisfy her and she visited a temple to learn about Zen, the Zen students fell in love with her. Shonkei's whole life was saturated with love. At last in Kyoto, she became a real student of Zen. Her brothers in the sub-temple of Kenin praised her sincerity. One of them proved to be a congenial spirit and assisted her in the mastery of Zen. The abbot of Kenin, Mokurai, Silent Thunder, was severe. He kept the precepts himself and expected his priests to do so. In modern Japan, whatever zeal these priests have lost for Buddhism, they seem to have gained for taking wives. Mokure used to take a broom and chase the women away when he found them in any of his temples, but the more wives he swept out, the more seemed to come back. In this particular temple, the wife of the head priest became jealous of Shunkei's earnestness and beauty. Hearing the student praise her serious Zen made this wife squirm and itch. Finally, she spread a rumor about Shunkei and the young man who was her friend. As a consequence, he was expelled, and Shunkei was removed from the temple. I may have made the mistake of love, thought Shunkei, but the priest's wife shall not remain in the temple either if my friend is to be treated so unjustly. Shunkei the same night with a can of kerosene set fire to the 500-year-old temple and burned it to the ground. In the morning she found herself in the hands of the police. A young lawyer became interested in her and endeavored to make her sentence lighter. "Do not help me," she told him. "I might decide to do something else which would only imprison me again." At last a sentence of 7 years was completed, and Shunkei was released from the prison, where the 60-year-old warden also had become enamored of her. But now everyone looked upon her as a jailbird. No one would associate with her. Even the Zen people who were supposed to believe in enlightenment in this life and with this body shunned her. Zen, Shunkei found, was one thing, and the followers of Zen quite another. Her relatives would have nothing to do with her. She grew sick, poor, and weak. She met a Shinzu priest who taught her the name of the Buddha of love, and in this Shunkei found some solace and peace of mind. She passed away when she was still exquisitely beautiful and hardly 30 years old. She wrote her own story in a futile endeavor to support herself, and some of it she told to a woman writer, so it reached the Japanese people. Those who rejected Shunkei, those who slandered and hated her, now read of her life with tears of remorse. In Tokyo in the Meiji era, there lived two prominent teachers of opposite characteristics. One, Unsho, an instructor in Shingon, kept Buddha's precepts scrupulously. He never drank intoxicants, nor did he eat after 11 o'clock in the morning. The other teacher, Tanzan, a professor of philosophy at the Imperial University, never observed the precepts. When he felt like eating, he ate, and when he felt like sleeping in the daytime, he slept. One day Unsho visited Tanzan, who was drinking wine at the time, not even a drop of which is supposed to touch the tongue of a Buddhist. "Hello, brother," Tanzan greeted him. "Won't you have a drink?" "I never drink," exclaimed Unsho solemnly. "For one who does not drink is not even human," said Tanzan. "Do you mean to call me inhuman just because I do not indulge in intoxicating liquids?" exclaimed Unsho in anger. "Then if I am not human, what am I?" "A Buddha," answered Tanzan. Shoun became a teacher of Soto Zen. When he was still a student, his father passed away, leaving him to care for his old mother. Whenever Shoun went to a meditation hall, he always took his mother with him. Since she accompanied him when he visited monasteries, he could not live with the monks. He would build a little house and care for her there. He would copy sutras, Buddhist verses, and in this manner receive a few coins for food. When Shoun brought fish for his mother, people would scoff at him, for a monk is not supposed to eat fish. But Shoun did not mind. His mother, however, was hurt to see others laugh at her son. Finally she told Shoun, "I think I will become a nun. I can be a vegetarian too." She did, and they studied together. Shoun was fond of music and was a master of the harp, which his mother also played. On full moon nights they used to play together. One night a young lady passed by their house and heard music. Deeply touched, she invited Shoun to visit her the next evening and play. He accepted the invitation. A few days later he met the young lady on the street and thanked her for her hospitality. Others laughed at him. He had visited the house of a woman of the streets.
Hey, mister, can I get a copy of the mugshot? Last thing I remember, I forgot to eat dinner, then I started sipping.
Every 5 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. That means since you started this video, another person became a victim. With LifeLock, you don't have to stress. It monitors for threats and alerts you of suspicious activity with expert support if identity theft does happen. Give yourself the peace of mind you deserve. Identity theft protection doesn't get better than this. Get LifeLock today.
One day, Showan left for a distant temple to deliver a lecture. A few months afterwards, he returned home to find his mother dead. Friends had not known where to reach him, so the funeral was then in progress. Showan walked up and hit the coffin with his staff. "Mother, your son has returned," he said. "I'm glad to see you've returned, son," he answered for his mother. "Yes, I'm glad too," Showan responded. Then he announced to the people about him, "The funeral ceremony is over. You may bury the body." When Showan was old, he knew his end was approaching. He asked his disciples to gather around him in the morning, telling them he was going to pass on at noon. Burning incense before the picture of his mother and his old teacher, he wrote a poem. "For 56 years, I lived as best I could, making my way in this world. Now the rain has ended. The clouds are clearing. The blue sky has a full moon." His disciples gathered about him, reciting a sutra, and Showan passed on during the invocation. A university student, while visiting Gasan, asked him, "Have you ever read the Christian Bible?" "No, read it to me," said Gasan. The student opened the Bible and read from St. Matthew. "And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself." Gasan said, "Whoever uttered those words I consider an enlightened man." The student continued reading. "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." Gasan remarked, "That is excellent. Whoever said that is not far from Buddhahood." Buddha told a parable in a sutra. A man traveling across a field encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from